Hello folks, it's James here, and I'm going to introduce a series of videos where I'll explain how you can download Dreamweaver software that will enable you to create a responsive website that should hopefully get you a distinction grade on Unit 6 Web Development for the BTEC IT course. Now the first thing you need to do is to download Dreamweaver software. Now how do you do that? Well, what you want to do is have your desktop open on the computer, so make sure you're logged in, and then click on the Windows key in the bottom left hand corner here where it says Start, and this loads up all the applications that are currently installed on your computer, and hopefully on this list you should see Adobe Creative Cloud. Okay, that's the sort of cloud-based server that we need to go to find and download Dreamweaver. So I click on that. Now, I've previously accessed this, so I've gone straight in, but you may need to sign in first. Now, the way that you sign in is to enter your Aquinas email address, so that's aq21, etc., 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 at aquinas.ac.uk, and then put in your Aquinas password and click on sign in, and it should take you into the screen where I've got here on mine, which is the cloud desktop. You may need to scroll down a little bit. I've been on here before because you can see I've already installed various Adobe software items, one being Dreamweaver here, and you may see a screen like this. So what you want to do is you want to go through this screen, find where Dreamweaver is, and then wherever Dreamweaver is, click on the install button, and it will start installing Dreamweaver into your computer. Once you've got onto Dreamweaver, what you need to do then is wait for it to download and install. Whilst it's doing that, you can have a look at some of the other software, but I would suggest that Photoshop Express is going to be a useful piece of software later on in Unit 6 for when we have to do some image compression. Now, so wait a couple of minutes, Dreamweaver should install. If you go back onto the Windows key down here, you should see that on the list of applications, Adobe Dreamweaver 2021 hopefully will be one of the options. And then any other software you install should be on the same list. See, I've got Illustrator and I've got Photoshop Express here and Photoshop, but I think Photoshop Express might be a better one for websites because it's simpler. Now, I'm going to open up Dreamweaver, and it should load up Dreamweaver for me, and it's starting now. Now, the first time you open up Dreamweaver, I've been on it before, so I've gone straight through to this screen. The first time you open it, it may ask you to what settings you prefer. So you want to click on the one on the right that says the classic settings, not the developer settings, and then you see it may ask you for the sort of look and feel of your screen. I've gone for this kind of grey dark screen look because that's how I like to work. You can change it to how you like to work. Okay, so just click through the screens and then click on the X at the top, and it should then set you into Dreamweaver, and you may see a screen similar to mine. Okay, it might be slightly different because I've used this before and it's got some of my previous work here. You won't have that. And then over here it's got my network drive, my H drive, which is the equivalent of your AQ user area, and it's got all my folders here. So you can see I've got BTEC IT there. You may know that not have that yet, but it will appear once you start creating website and web pages. Now, what I want to do is I want to open up something and create a new website. So to do that, I click on the Create New button, and it opens up this pop-up window. And I want to create a new document, so that's already shaded here. My new document, I want it to be HTML, or HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. That's the sort of computer language that all web pages are developed using. And then over here, I want to make sure I don't want none selected, I want Bootstrap selected. Okay, what is Bootstrap? Here you say it's not something that's on your shoe, but it is similar to as a concept to a strap on your shoe. I click on that and it tells me what it is. build fast, responsive websites with Bootstrap. Powerful, extensible, and feature-packed front-end toolkit. Build and customize with SAS and utilize pre-built grid system and components. And bring to life with powerful JavaScript plugins. Oh, sounds exciting. So this is a technology that kind of like basically straps lots of other technologies and brings them all together and lets us create really professional looking websites without having to know too much about all the code and technologies behind them. So it's a tool to help developers and makes their life easier. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to use this Bootstrap document. Responsive websites, what does that mean? That means that the website responds to the sort of dimensions of the screen or the device that we're accessing it through. So if I'm accessing it through a mobile phone, the website should display fine. If I'm accessing the website through a desktop computer like the one I'm using now to talk to you, it should be fine. We'll have a little demo of that later. So let's go back to my Dreamweaver software. So I've selected HTML, new document, HTML, Bootstrap. I'm going to ask it to create new. So I'm going to click the create new button. I don't need to add any CSS coding because Bootstrap's going to do that for me because I'm going to include a pre-built layout. Then I'm going to click on create. There we go. It's created me a default website. Okay, with a nav bar and some text and a button. It's not very exciting at the moment, but you know, it's done a pre-built website. So I've got this graphical user interface here, and then I've got this sort of code interface down here, you know, with all this different coloured writing. Again, we don't really need to understand for BTEC IT what all this code does. Okay, there's one or two things you will be taught in these videos, but don't concern yourself with all this computer code. Now, we've got this half screen here and half here, and I can drag that up and down like so. Okay, if I want to look at more code or I want to look at more user interface, and then I can split it. So I'm on the split option here. I can go on just code view if I want to just see computer code, and I go on live view if I want to see just the graphical interface, what my website might look like if it was on the internet. So here we have that one. Now, I prefer the split view. You can pick whichever view you like. So I've got this website at the moment. It's not doing anything. It's not really that exciting. So I'm just going to edit it. So I'm just going to type in here, hello, James. How are you this afternoon? I'm not going to type this afternoon. So how are you? So I've edited it. Yep, I've just put that in. Now, up here is all the files that are sitting behind this. This is the web page, and this is all the files that have been used to build it. So I've got one here, one that says source code, which is going to be the code that makes the actual HTML page, which is this guy, untitled one. Then I've got this separate file here called bootstrap.css. That's a cascading style sheet that controls all the layout of the web page. And then I've got these other folders here, and they've got .js at the end, and that stands for JavaScript. Okay, that's where they can add in little sort of like computer programs that do something within the web page. More about them later. So I've got these files here. Now what I want to do is I want to say, well, it's all good and well, this is sitting inside Dreamweaver, but what does it actually look like if it was on a web browser, and how would I do that? So to do that, we would click on to File, and we go down here to Real-Time Preview, and you see it's got some real internet browsers, Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, Microsoft Edge. Okay, so I'm going to select Google Chrome because I want to see what this web page would look like on Google Chrome. Aha! Right, what's it saying? It's saying, well, warning, you can do that, but first of all you need to save changes to untitled one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on to yes, and I'm going to save untitled one into my BTEC IT folder, which is in my user area. So my user area is here, JAC staff. Yours may be called AQ21, whatever. Every one of you have got your own user area on our computer network. So I'm going to click on JAC staff. I'm going to click on BTEC IT. I'm going to go to BTEC 2016 because that's the qualification you're studying, and it's Unit 6. Okay. So I've got a nice file structure here. Now I don't just want to save this file into this folder. I want a dedicated folder for all my web pages so they're all in one place. So I'm going to click on New Folder, and because I'm making a website for Funky Monkey Cafe, I'm going to call my folder something like that. So I'll call it FM for Funky Monkey. I'll call it Cafe. Okay, so that's going to create a new folder. There it is. And then I'm going to double click on that. Right. Now, another thing is that I don't like this name Untitled 1. It's meaningless. Okay, if I save it as Untitled 1 and then come back to it a week later, I might forget what Untitled 1 is and delete it. So I need to give this a meaningful name. Now, in the development of websites, the home page, the first page that loads up when you see or visit a website, is called usually index, the index page. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to call this home page, this first web page, index. Then I've got to give it a file extension. I can't just save it now. I've got to click on index dot, and remember what's the name of the language that we're using? Hypertext markup language. So it's HTML. So index.html is the name of my home page, and I'm going to save that now inside my Funky Monkey Cafe folder. So I'll save that. Okay. Oh, and it's automatically taken me into Google Chrome and displayed my web page. How great! That'll save me some time. So you see, I've saved my web page and called index.html, and it's showing me what it looks like on in Google Chrome. There's a text I typed in. And there's my navigation bar. Not doing a lot really. Oh, we've got some nice little drop downs working. So your little rollover effects. But I might edit them later on, so I'll do another video on that. Oh, click on that. I've got a nice little drop down menu. That's quite nice. But again, I can edit this later on. Going over here, I've got a search bar. Oh, it lets me type in as well. And then I've got nice little rollover feature there for a search button. So that's helped me search for any content on my web page or website. Another rollover here. These grey boxes is where I could insert some images, and I've got another button down here, and I've got some links here. So it's got all the layout features that I need, and I can edit all these. Okay, in assignment B, I've designed my website, what I want it to look like, and now I can use this template and edit it and get it to look like my design. Doesn't have to look perfectly like my design, but as long as it's sort of close to it, then that's good enough for Unit 6. Now, let's have a look at what we mean by responsive design. That word I mentioned earlier, where a website should respond to the device that you're looking at it through. So, at the moment, I'm looking at this website using a desktop computer screen, and you see it's quite well laid out. But if I was to let me just see if I can do this. Let's see if I can. If I'm going to alter my screen, so let's have a look. I'm going to bring my screen in. Oh, you can see what's happening here. It's actually all the components of the page are changing. Ah, look at that. As I make the screen narrower, automatically these elements, these images, and the text with them shrink up and become narrower. Okay. Text size stays the same, but it actually becomes into a narrower column. So it's responding to the actual size of the browser window. And the browser window detects the actual physical dimensions of the screen that you're looking through. So as I'm going through here, I'm altering it. It's getting smaller and more scrunched up and so forth. Ah, what's going on here? Okay, so those images are now resized again, except they've stacked on one on top of each other. Yeah, so again, the web page has responded to the actual dimensions of the browser window. So that's what we mean by responsive design. Why is that important? Well, more people access web pages today through their mobile phone than they do through a desktop computer or a laptop. You think about it, we're all accessing websites and social media sites through our phones, dozens of times a day. So web designers have to ensure that their web pages will look and work in both mobile phones and tablet devices, and also in laptops and desktop computers. So here, this kind of looks like the size of a mobile phone screen, quite narrow, and we can scroll down and tall like so. Whereas if I drag it out again to what it would look like on a traditional computer, you see it's got a more sort of wider layout. So the website will work on all devices. So that's what we mean by it being responsive. It responds to the dimensions of the window that it appears in, and that's obviously controlled by the physical dimensions of the device that you're using to access the web page. Okay, so there's our website. We've got a nice template, and what we can do is we can go back to Dreamweaver and we can alter some of these settings, and that's what we'll do in the subsequent videos that follow this. We'll start to alter the look and feel of our website. So that's video 1. You can now move on to video 2.